This president has engaged and is engaging in crony capitalism. It's happening with the National Labor Relations Board, where he's paying back the big unions that helped his campaign.
As of today, this president has proven a total willingness to violate the law and to impose an imperial presidency.
There's a debate about American exceptionalism. We're having that debate because some have suggested the president doesn't believe in it. One of the people who've suggested the president doesn't believe in it was the president.
There is heat on President Obama. He wants to keep his job, but now the GOP candidates are targeting President Obama, and they're not holding back. Governor Mitt Romney, Senator Rick Santorum, and former Speaker Newt Gingrich all bashing the president in New Hampshire today. So which candidate do the Democrats fear the most in 2012? Congresswoman and DNC Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz joins us. Good evening.
Good evening, Greta. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm curious. I've been looking at your comments, and since the Iowa caucus your comments are directed only, at least as far as I can see, as Governor Mitt Romney. Have you decided in your mind that Governor Mitt Romney is a candidate and you need not worry about the other ones?
No. As I've said before, Mitt Romney has simply earned this kind of scrutiny. When you are someone who operates without any core convictions, when you are a candidate like Mitt Romney who has exclusively focused and trained your attacks and mischaracterizations and distortions of President Obama's record repeatedly, we're not going to take it lying down. I mean, it's important that people know that Mitt Romney has not stayed consistent on almost any position because he's focused not on creating jobs and getting the economy turned around, but on one job, Barack Obama's. And he's willing to say or do anything to get elected. And that's important for people to know as they decide who they want to choose in the Republican primary and ultimately who they want to be president of the United States.
Are you then saying by your silence towards the other candidates that they are not doing that?
No, they're certainly doing that, but Mitt Romney in particular, because he's been at or near the top of the pack for quite some time, has consistently distorted and lied about the president's record. And I think he particularly earns that focus because he has no core convictions. I know for me as an elected official, I pride myself on taking a position, on talking about it in my district. And, I think my favorite thing that happens to me is when a constituent will come up to me and say, Debbie, I don't always agree with you, but at least I know where you stand. No one knows where Mitt Romney stands because he stands anywhere he needs to. And at the end of the day, with the need for us to continue to focus on getting this economy turned around and having someone in the White House who's going to fight for the middle class and working families, the only one that Mitt Romney would fight for is himself. And that's really something that people need to know.
Here's my thinking on it. If that is indeed true, in the thinking within the Democratic National Committee that's true, is I would think he would be the one, quote, I would want to run against, because the easiest thing to do is to say that someone doesn't have core convictions if he can back it up. Your silence as to the other one suggests to me that while you may not agree with them, you think that they do have core convictions and they are much more powerful, more potent opponent come a general election, and so that you're sort of shooting yourself in the foot in that you're trying to take apart the one that you think is the most vulnerable to you in a general election.
No, Greta, quite frankly, the collection of Republicans that are running for president really are pretty unremarkable. And they've all embraced extremism. They've embraced the Tea Party. They've been busy in a circular firing squad trying to outright wing each other. So it really hasn't much mattered which one of them ultimately is their nominee, because there's, at the end of the day, a very dramatic difference in the two directions that this country will choose to go. The direction that President Obama's been taking us, where we were bleeding 750,000 jobs a month when he first took office, thanks to Republican policies, and now we've had 22 straight months of private sector job growth and someone fighting for the middle class and working families, and all the Republicans, any of them, quite frankly, who want to go back to the failed Republican policies of the past that got us into this mess in the first place.
I hear the word extremism, said about the Republican Party, but I've also heard it said about the Democratic Party. A lot of people could say that there's been a profound change in the direction of our country with the Republican Party. I mean, it really, it's going to turn up which the voters think. I mean, that's the sort of how we throw the insults around within our country. But
let's just spend a minute going through the differences, because I don't know how anyone could say.
30 seconds, because then we're going to break, and you're going to have the last word. Okay. So go ahead, it's all yours.
No problem. I don't know how anyone anyone could suggest that it's extreme to give 95% of Americans a tax break, which President Obama did, or that it's extreme to pass the Affordable Care Act to make sure that 31
just as an aside, he hasn't.
You're right. He did it with a Democratic Congress. That's right. He didn't do it alone.
I guess there's sort of bragging about the bipartisan nature of the you know, there was some bragging that was bipartisan this last extension of payroll tax.
Republican members of Congress have focused on extending the Bush tax cuts for the wealthiest, most fortunate Americans, and Democrats and President Obama have been fighting to give tax breaks to the middle class, small business owners. That's a pretty dramatic contrast. One is extreme. The other is focused on making sure that everybody in America has an opportunity for a fair shot at the American dream. That's the choice that people have on November 6th.
Congresswoman, thank you. I hope you come back. It's going to be a fascinating next 10 or 11 months, whatever it is, or 9.5.
It sure will. I look forward to coming back.
Thank
Thanks.
you.